So welcome all to this section focused on the future of food. First of all, I would like to inform you that this session is being recorded and will be available on the Connecting Network website just after the summit next week. I would also remind you that we are running a poll in the main event area throughout the 2 days of the summit on measures to support the market development. Please be so kind to complete it at your convenience. It will be of great support for our work. Few words about myself and my role here. I'm Valeria Stacchini, and I'm project manager at the Economic Development Department of the Metropolitan City of Bologna. I'm involved in different projects related to agriculture and the food sector, such as Connecting Network, Madre, Sesam, and CNCIFC. I'm also in charge of animating the sustainable agriculture and food chain community based on the Connecting Network Enterprises platform, to which I would like to invite you to register just in case you are still not. The community is growing fast, and I'm sure you will find interesting opportunities, and you will also have the chance to join us for the future workshops and showcase your product and services. Why Bologna is interested in food? Because food is a great part of our culture. Just a few months ago, my organization officially enrolled the Bologna Metropole area in the tentative list of UNESCO Heritage for its Bolognese gastronomic culture. In fact, gastronomic culture represents for us a priceless asset, and agri-food is a solid pillar of our economy. But if we look to the future, what we could see, which direction do we need to take? Food is not just food. A global food system accounts for 1/3 of total greenhouse gas emissions and are a leading cause of environmental degradation and socioeconomic and health inequalities. Only an integrated food system approach can identify effective action to reduce climate impact and inequality. Local government, local actors, and enterprises too are pioneering sustainable food system change. Particularly interesting are the innovations that nature-based solutions can bring in the food ecosystem. Today, we have here with us experts, and I will say really front runners who will present their experiences and the future project. After the presentation, we will have some time to answer to your questions. For questions, you can use the Q&A tool that you will find in the right side of your screen. I will leave the chat tool for more informal exchange. Well, the first speaker was supposed to be Sara Roversi from Future Food Institute, but I can see her now live with us. Maybe she had some technical problem. Maybe if you don't mind, we should start with Marceline. Marceline Bonneau is an urban program expert leading the Urbact Food Hub and being involved in different food city networks in this world. She is also an urban innovative action expert for Antwerp Circular South project and Testing 5 project. Moreover, she led various local projects on sustainable food and food waste in Brussels. Marceline, we look forward to hear from you about really good practices. So please, the floor is yours.
Valeria, but I think Suhana was raising her hand. She wanted to jump in.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's only because Sarah Roversi wrote she's here. But
okay, we got it.
Great, great. So I know that you need to leave in a very short, so I would ask you to introduce yourself, maybe is better, and so the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And the change of the schedule, but today we are at the G20 in Matera, where actually we are joining the launch of the Food Coalition of FAO together with the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So we are here in a time in history where actually we're talking also a lot about those issues. So thank you so much. I want to just share with you what we did as Future Food Institute, starting from Bologna, sharing a little bit our little experience, trying to create a global ecosystem of change makers that are really activating living labs in different parts of the world. I'm gonna just go quickly in the deep of the presentation, because for sure, as we all have been living, we understood that the global pandemic have been let's say, kind of a way to highlight all the invisible things that we were already knowing from the food system, but that thanks to the pandemic came more critical. So what we did in these years with FAO was exactly to put food at the epicenter and redesign the relationship within the society, really connecting 5 emerging areas that we consider the starting point to regenerate the relationship between humans and the planet. Starting from creating climate-smart ecosystems and regenerative business models, and going along the way, implementing circular living methodologies, circular lifestyles, highlighting food identities and using food as a way to create inclusion, but also being very much focused on the role of food in diplomacy at every level, at the local, regional, national, international level. Talk about diplomatic issues, maybe related to data or other issues, but in food, there's a lot of geopolitical issues behind. And then prosperity. So food really can point to implement let's say, positive strategies to create prosperity and building thriving communities. This is what we did in these 8 years, creating an ecosystem that is focused on knowledge, community development, and innovation. And we did it, of course, working with the global network, creating tons of programs for startup, and overall activating different hubs. We were born in Bologna, so Bologna is our hometown. And in our region, let's say, we started our first living lab, and we see the living lab really at the epicenter of the prototyping phase. As you see here, those are our living labs. We started in Reggio Emilia, but then in Bologna, we one of the biggest and is one of the epicenters of our innovation hubs. And then we tested also in Japan and now in Pollica. But I want to just be focused on right now, because in Bologna we started mapping out all the ingredients of innovation, finding that the connection with our environment that is very diverse, because we are very lucky to have a very vibrant university, globally connected, was not only, say, the epicenter at this stage, but was also connected with the natural environment and the agricultural environment surrounding the city. Starting from there, we created a place that now every single day is hosting around 2,500 people per day. And those people are coming in our space to prototype and create new solutions, really to accelerate this healthy connection between humans and the planet. At the city level, but also at the rural level. Here, there is the other example. We're working in Tokyo since 2 years ago, and with the municipality of Tokyo, we have been redesigning.
Sorry, Sarah, to interrupt you. Just to let you know that we can't see your presentation.
You cannot see the presentation?
No, we cannot. If you would like to try.
Okay. Just disconnected, or was you haven't seen anything? Anything? No way! I don't know why. I was presenting for myself, so.
We can hear you.
Can you see it now?
Now it's working. Okay. Now it's better.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry. There were very beautiful slides about Bologna. Anyway, going on, this is exactly what we're doing, really mapping up the foodscapes in the different cities where we work with the local municipalities or local organizations, really to identifying which are the areas of innovation that we need to be focused on to build a more resilient local community. And last but not least, starting from Bologna, we flew to Japan, and during the pandemic, we understood that the connection with nature and local communities and rural area was for us a key priority. And we started a brand new campus that is strictly connected also with our region, because there are tons of programs connecting Emilia-Romagna and Campania region. Also, Interreg project, European project focused on highlighting the power of Mediterranean diet as a very interesting tool to teach to people how to live in a more sustainable way. And here, again, we started the program, we started working with the 7 emblems UNESCO of the Mediterranean diet, and we identified exactly as we did for Bologna, which are the ingredients for innovation and the key ingredients of the area, analyzing that the ecological part and the highest number of biodiversity and conviviality are key elements of this land. And here again, as well as we did in Bologna, that we need to work on these areas, knowledge, community development, and fostering innovation and entrepreneurship to start a very prosperous journey for the local institutions and for the local communities. This is what we have been doing during the pandemic, even more. Bologna, of course, was for us the starting point. And in Bologna, with the Living Lab, I can say we are proud to say that we were able to inspire others, because our Japanese partners came to Bologna to see what we did with the students, with the local communities, and asked us to replicate it in Kyobashi. That is, again, a very vibrant area of the city of Tokyo. And again, is happening for Singapore and for other cities. So this is a little bit what we have been doing, and I think that we need to foster this kind of places for cross-pollination and coalitions and public-private cooperations, because this is the only way we can achieve the Agenda 2030 goals. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry you couldn't see the first 10 slides of the presentation that were anyway showing the Bologna part of the project, but I think you have what we have been doing.
Thank you, Sarah. Even if we haven't seen the slide, we can hear you. So maybe if you don't mind, we can share your presentation afterward with all the people registered. I would really thank you to join us for this presentation. And finally, it was good to start with an entrepreneur, because we are here for the Nature-Based Enterprise Summit, and I think it is nice to see how enthusiastic entrepreneur like you are could have success in food and in trying to boost this reconnection with nature.
Thank you.
If someone for the audience have questions for Sarah, it is time now, because in a short Sarah will leave us for the G20. And I will say also congratulations to her for this success for the food coalition. I can see right now any question, and as we are just few minutes late, maybe we should go on. I'm just admitting Marceline, and well, so Marceline, the floor is yours.
Apparently some people
Okay,
hear me
here we are.
well. So, okay. Thank you for your comments in the chat as well. Apparently, Valeria, it comes from you, so I will back you up if needed. Yes, and so thank you very much again for this nice introduction and few words about me. So indeed, today, what I would like to share with you are a few insights from the URBAC program. Okay, let me now try and share my slides, but obviously as Valeria has left, it seems it's going to be tricky again. I cannot share my slides via Google Chrome for whatever reason. I'll start without my slides then. I'm sorry about that. I wanted first, yes, so to let you know that I'm representing the URBAC program today, and we are partners and supporters of the Glasgow Food Declaration. So we strongly invite all of you to sign it. The declaration really supports the role of local authorities in fighting climate change while relocalizing food systems. And you hear more about this in a minute, so I'm not going to spend more time with you on that. So URBAC has supported since 2013 8 networks which focus on sustainable food and urban agriculture. These networks focus on sustainable, on overall sustainable food systems, on organic canteens, 100% organic canteens. Valeria, would you mind trying to share my slides? I'm on Chrome and I cannot share my slides.
Okay, just.
The networks are also focusing on reinforcing. Great, thanks a lot. Rural-urban linkage, and now you can move to slide 3, 4, maybe. 2. Next one.
I'm sorry, it is blocked. Yeah, but I can't see.
Perfect.
Okay.
We've got networks focusing on community gardens and productive agriculture, as well as bees as products and touristic for biodiversity protection in cities, as well as a touristic attraction, I would say, for cities. Next slide, please. So what have all these networks focused on? I just want to give you an overview of all the information that you can take away from these networks. I know that today we're focusing more on enterprises, but you can see that there are strong linkages in between all these areas, and I will try and provide you with some cases, concrete examples that might be of great inspiration for you in a minute. So next slide, please. So we can see that many of these networks are focused on policy frameworks, working on new ways of designing public procurement schemes that would enable local producers, for example, to furnish canteens. Some of these networks have developed food councils, food policies. Some networks are focused on local production, as I've just mentioned, either as self-production, how to reinforce community gardens, how to work on the notion of commons as well, as was raised in the introductory speech as well, but also how to further rethink urban planning and local planning in order to ensure adequate production that is useful for the city, so really productive aspect of agriculture, which would have to be organic and local. Many of these networks have also focused on the private sector while supporting entrepreneurship activities, branding and tourism, in various innovations also related to food transformation. At a more transversal level, they have focused on integrated approaches by integrating climate change approaches. As I've just mentioned, Urbact is a supporter of the Glasgow Climate Declaration in this regard. Aspects of social cohesion, biodiversity protection, local economy and health. These networks focus also on distribution, on the distribution side of the supply chain, while improving or creating new retail activities, markets, cooperatives, working with catering sector, canteens, public kitchens, ensuring the supply chain in general is improved and that local products are valorized. Many networks have also focused on food justice, ensuring everybody gets access to not only quality food, but just to food, with a circular approach, focusing on composting and food waste. Many networks are focusing on consumers, either as a general public or especially with the children and schools, while supporting consumption of local and seasonal products, organic products as well, and ensuring community engagement. And last but not least, many of these networks have also done some research and analysis, enabling capitalizing on what's been going on in their networks, as well as developing some university degrees, for example, for food policy officers in administrations and or gardenizers, community gardens managers. So just to share with you a few concrete cases of what's been happening in these networks, I'll scan through them quickly because we've lost time with technicalities, but I'll provide you with an entry.
Don't mind, Marceline.
No, but I know we are a few on this panel and I'm available for further clarifications in any case. But that's also to tease you, because obviously I just made a selection on a few cases I could share with you, but there are many more. So the first case I want to share with you is on the next slide, and yes, that's I picked this one because it's Moya Device, which developed a food strategy with a strong focus on health and ensuring that everybody gets access to food, to quality food, with lots of awareness raising activities in order to better consume food adjusted to everybody's budgets. But there's also a very strong link between local organic food producers and consumers. So the idea was really in relation to making food accessible, to develop a new economy that would that enable production at a reasonable cost, but production at a fair cost and fair price for everybody to benefit from it. The next example I picked is about the first test farm in Wallonia, which has been developed in Pays de Condruse. On this specific land, apprentices can come and test farming. They can test different types of productions. They are supported in that. They also test their business models. They also have support for entrepreneurship, and they also have support in selling their products. So as all of you might know, it's not only about farming, but also being able to sell your products, to market them, to provide, to identify the right price, to sell them, to ensure that there is visibility, interest. And this project has been made possible by a collaboration between a specific training school and a professional reinsertion NGO, and with European funding. Now it exists in other parts of Belgium, and many candidates are benefiting from it. The next case is about the use of bees and bee products as a touristic attraction. And this is an old slide. I'm sorry, Amarante is not in Spain. But the idea was to promote really a bee path that is really the touristic and attracting point of Amarante, so that visitors would come and visit the city, but also would become familiar with the idea of bees protection, biodiversity protection, and merely to taste bees products and honey. The next slide is about branding. Just to stress again, sorry, I've been a bit maybe too quick in entering the presentation. The URBAC program supports networks of cities, city administrations, which exchange practices, cases inspiration to develop networks on specific issues. So in other cases I'm presenting, the initiatives were led by cities together with stakeholders. So together with local groups that they form, for example, with private stakeholders, and together they implement each of these actions. So the actions are, in this case, implemented by private stakeholders, but with the support of the city, at least in terms of design, in terms of strategic vision. So in Alba Iulia, which is a city which is extremely strong in terms of marketing and branding, they have really developed a branding strategy at business level in order to put the city itself as a gastronomic city. One example is this medieval style gastronomic festival that they have organized, and they're really focusing on the city history to show that there has always been a strong link with food and that it's good for business. The next case, next in practice. Sorry, I do not remember all of them, the order by heart. Okay. Thanks a lot. So that's in Cumbria, another very interesting example of the city really supporting SMEs by creating lots of tools. So the main one that you can see here is really a platform on where you can get access to all local products and producers. But the city has also developed lots of events related to gastronomy, ensuring visibility of what's going on the territory. There's also a calendar. There are also some specific trainings and programs in order to ensure that food as I dislike saying food as a marketing opportunity, but food, organic, seasonal, and organic product can also be a selling point for the city. And I think I had, I can see I had some other cases. Can you go to the next type? Oh no, okay, Valeria is. You're still here. Yes, thanks a lot. So I've picked deliberately a few cases focusing on entrepreneurship. Many of the other cases we have, I would say, connect a bit more and entrepreneurship and nature-based solutions and food. For example, all these related to biodiversity protection, for example, with bees, but obviously you have also lots of commercial activities related to private gardens or almost community gardens or vegetable boxes. I have not shared all of this with you because this is also some of the information that you can access through the URBACT Food Knowledge Hub that is available on the link that you can see on the slide. It's pretty easy, urbact.eu/food. And on this website, what you can do is get access to lots of information that is categorized as presented on this next slide. You have 7 categories, so you can either enter policy making, or if you're interested in more production, distribution, transformation, you click on those links. If it's about jobs and skills development, with lots of qualifications, also trainings, testing possibilities presented there, community engagement and solidarity. So you click on each of those, and then on the next slide, you can see the information that is available, which is a short introduction into the topic. Valeria, can we have the next slide, please? And for each of these topics, I just put you 2 examples. You get the list of cases. Some of the cases that we have identified, you click directly on the links that are visible, and there you get an analytical insight into each of these practices. You get an idea of how it's been implemented, by whom, and who you can get access to for further information. URBACT is all about peer learning and exchange. Some of these networks are still going on, some are finished, but all the stakeholders be there from the cities, the city municipalities, or private stakeholders, or NGOs, and or many others, are always available to share more widely what they have implemented and well, learnings and difficulties, challenges in addressing those. So just the last piece of information that you can find in the Food Knowledge Hub. These are analytical insights, either in the forms of reports, deliverables, you can see that on the next slide, and or analytical articles on transversal topics. That was my almost last slide, and I think my last slide is just to thank you very much, to present my apologies for these technical issues, but we made it. I'm available for any questions you might have in private or direct or common chat, and and you'll find me easily otherwise via Urbact. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Marceline. I will say that Urbact is a very powerful program for city, but not just for cities, because it's really to build on the community, is working together with all local actors. And I will suggest everyone to have a look at this kind of project, and especially to the great work that they are carrying out on food topics. I can still see with us Sally from Glasgow. So I would ask Swan ready to take the next presentation, of hoping that Sandy will join us for the last part of the workshop. Sandy is working at the EDICIT-Net Horizon 2020 project. She's an engineer, and she is based at the Humboldt University of Berlin. She will talk us today about the marketplace and the business consultancy service that they are developing on food policy for supporting this process in local context. So Swan, the floor is yours, and let me know if I can support for the presentation, or you will do by yourself.
Valeria, maybe you can.
Yeah, we can see. Great.
Thank you, because now I have the full screen full of my slides. Yeah, thank you for this invitation. I'm working since long for the Edible Cities Network and the project from the beginning, and the proposal writing. And in this times, we also post a lot of questions about the sustainability, economically, socially, and environmentally. You mentioned already the big biodiverse impact also of such of sustainable agriculture in cities. We went one step further. We renamed nature-based solution being Edible City Solution. But before I really start here, a short outline, I will give a short introduction the value chain as a clustering moment for Edible City Solutions. I will shortly give an insight on a SWOT with a political assessment, and show you strategies EDICIT-Net is pursuing. First of all, what are Edible City Solutions? So we were making, or it's quite an artificial term, although we have edible cities, but Edible City Solutions are considered, like you see here in the triangle, considered to be leveraging the economic benefits in the city, but also the social cultural benefits. It was already mentioned that the gastronomy and the cultural heritage of eating and food in regions is an important fact. And this was also one of the main argumentation in the societal challenges call that we said, okay, food is bringing people together, and therefore it is much more social and has much more potential to connect people than, let's say, traditional nature-based solutions. And of course, we have the environmental benefits of Edible City Solutions which are heat island mitigation, reduce pollution, enhancing biodiversity, and water cycles. So at 2019, we published the article about edible city solutions, and we wanted to have this term quite large. That means we didn't want it to be edible city solutions considered to be only productive, but also services around food and around edible city solutions in a. Yeah, what does EdiCitNet? EdiCitNet is, first of all, a network of urban actors. We have city teams formed in the first phase of the project, which are steering groups, and which did our co-creation in the sessions where we co-created the living labs. And as we own our cities, we assume that we are also the network's critical mass. So in such, we aim at taking responsibility of our own living environment and transform the cities. We also mentioned such facts like changing the lifestyle with edible city solutions, or transforming the cities by increasing the food growth and product and services around food within the city. Yeah, what are ECS initiatives? You have seen this on my first slide. We take a distance throughout the project now to call it business consultancy because of one main fact. We have initiatives which are solely producing or providing services for the benefit of a social group. That means they're mostly not interested to have a strict business plan and investment and return on investment, but we rather take the bow here to social return on investment and to see how the benefit could be and how to stabilize these initiatives. So we call them ECS initiatives, and they are mostly taking advantage of ECS measures, which are, let's say, in a simple way, are edible nature-based solutions and beyond. So you see here this triangle. This was one of our first development of defining food in the city and the edible city solutions. We then clustered this a little bit more and developed this value chain to show that this is all depending on local supply chains, that we are looking for distribution. Some of you might also had a look on the farm to fork value chain, which was quite shorter, but the edible city value chain includes the closed cycles edible city solutions, like growing mushrooms on coffee pads, and we also see the regionality as being one major part of the sustainability of transforming the city and the agricultural system as well. Also, distribution and transport systems we consider to be edible city solution, as far as they distribute via alternative ways and sustainable, let's say sustainable tools and instruments. Then we also considered the value chain of each edible cities solution to be sustainable. That means we are looking concrete on the sustainability compliance also from the suppliers, in order to form a holistic space for each region to produce, to sell, to distribute food. Yeah, what we have here is a small insight in a bigger context of what we did in the last 2 years. I picked out some sections from this SWOT to show how our strategies respond to these kind of strengths, weaknesses, threats, and opportunities. First of all, we have here strengths, that we have a manifold already existing ideas and innovative developments. Marciela also has shown this about solving production, distribution, processing, packaging sustainably within the city. So there is a vast pool of innovative ideas, initiatives, organizations which offer these products and services, and we are trying to network them and to bundle them up, to stabilize them, and to connect them to each other, but also to the main stakeholders and the needs and demands they have. Then the weaknesses lack the resilient food strategies. We know this, otherwise there wouldn't have been so many pacts for increasing again the production of food within the city. This is also nothing new. Actually, this is new wine in old tubes, because it has always been inherent to a city that food production was a part of the city, especially in times like pandemic and crisis. So opportunities, we have best practice examples in our living lab. For example, our front runner cities which have implemented these living labs are Berlin, Oslo, Andernach, Havana, and here in Rotterdam. And here we have in these 5 cities implemented quite different living labs, but all are dealing with edible city solution in the different kinds and from the value chain. And of course, we have extensive ecological and economic adverse effects throughout unsustainable food systems. We already had this. Valeria was already mentioning the numbers of 1/3 of the greenhouse gas emissions which derive from the food system, the conventional agricultural production. Yeah, this as a short, I depicted some things in order to answer now the marketplace. The marketplace is therefore the digital network which provides the digital platform for networking all ECS with each other. We have a selection tool there to seek for products and services, to seek for regions where we have local production clusters already, but also single ECSs which want to be networked. The marketplace is based on 4 main parameters of multi-sided platforms. First of all, we have the easy access strategy. That means a very, very low barrier to get registered. For ECS initiatives, it is not normal to give large time spaces to registering and to surveys and so on. So working with ECS initiatives always means to be very direct, as there are change makers and don't want to have these administrational barriers. Brokerage and interlinkage is clear. It supports the networking, it supports the building and regional clusters, and helping to interconnect between the items of the value chain. Then we have the stewardship and consultancy. This is done with a business consultancy, but also we have experts on the marketplace registered as well, which offer stewardship, which are more matured. We have, for example, many one-women shows where we have one person struggling with this idea, but we also have already successful SMEs and startups which are stabilized and profit from long-term funding, or also from economic benefits. So club and long-term benefit is the 4th pillar or parameter which we want to achieve. That means we have the goal to keep this marketplace long-term as a platform to interconnect the edible city solutions. Yeah, and this was the first answer to as a strategy to our shortcomings from the SWOT. A second one is the blended consultancy and policy cycles. We have identified here 5 major challenges. We mitigate legal and juridical barriers. We call it like that, but normally we have laws and different restrictions for the edible city solutions to freely work. You might know this. Then we have, of course, the financing tools, the different which are coming from, I don't know, venture capital, from private-public partnerships over to public procurement and so on. And of course, brokerage and connections to the city administrations with our, let's say, all the 12 cities we have on board. I mentioned 5 now. We have Saint Peter Prigorigi, San Feliu de Llobregat, Montevideo, Lome. We have several cities in Europe. So, and what I also mentioned again and again is stabilization and sustainability of their work. This is quite a high issue for them, as they, especially in Rotterdam, were identified 200 grassroots initiatives which are diminishing quite quickly, and this is about to mitigate that they are born and killed so easily. Then of course the blended business planning, it refers again a little bit to not being focused on the business, but also on initiatives and associations which aim at being stabilized. So there's no real business plan behind, but a stabilization plan. The third strategy, of course, I think Sarah has also mentioned this, is of course the visibility and networking. We have a close interaction between the communication dissemination work package and the marketplace, and of course the business consultancy. And we have also currently under developing the decision support system, which is addressing as target audience, especially the city administration, in order to use edible city solution measures as being a part of the urban planning, and of course behavioral change and public engagement through the city teams. I mentioned them already. And ECS training is referring to environmental trainings, to awareness raising. Last but not least, I can show you the Edible City Solution Canvas, which we developed. It's based on the Sustainable Business Model Canvas. It's open access, and we base our workshops and first initial workshops on these Edible City Solution Canvas to go through the different models and to help being the businesses more sustainable, or let's say also the organizations if they're not considered to be businesses. So far I'm through. I hope this has given you a small overview of what EdiCitNet does, and especially me as the leader of the marketplace and the business consultancy. Hear also your questions, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Swan. Just a few words about this last tool, because I found it really useful. We used it also in Deconnecting Nature, building a canvas, a business model canvas for nature-based solution, but I think it's very effective. And we have a few minutes left. Finally, Sandy managed to reach us for this session, so I will leave him the floor. Sandy is a food growing assistant manager at Glasgow City Council. Glasgow is one of our frontrunners sitting in the Connecting Nature project, and he will tell us about their impressive process they carry out in Glasgow on a policy about food. So Sandy, the floor is yours for this last part.
Thanks very much indeed, Valeria. I'm just about to share a PowerPoint with you about getting food on the climate agenda in Glasgow. Glasgow was one of the first cities in Scotland to declare a climate and ecological emergency, and a few of the actions arising out of that are in relation to the city food plan and also the food growing strategy. Just see if I can share this PowerPoint with you now. Please don't mind bearing with me. Okay, so essentially, the Glasgow, while we're waiting for that to come up, I'll just give you some background. The Glasgow Food Policy Partnership, there we are. Thank you very much. This is the City Food Plan PowerPoint. Thanks for that, Valeria. It consists of 14 multi-sector partners, including Glasgow City Council and other private, public and voluntary organisations, both national and local. In the last couple of years, membership of the Glasgow Food Policy Partnership has grown to include partners that represent commerce, food redistribution, food banks, ethnic minorities and procurement expertise. The work is supported by the councillor in Glasgow, who is the city convener for the Sustainability and Carbon Reduction Committee. If we can move on to the next slide, please. Glasgow is one of the most unequal cities in the UK, with huge differences in life expectancy between different areas of the city. And in 2017, 1/3 of all children in the city were estimated to live in poverty. In 2018, 11% of people reported at least one episode of food insecurity in the previous year. Glasgow also has a reputation for its poor health and for its poor diet, with 2/3 of adults either overweight or obese. However, there is also a vibrant restaurant scene offering high quality dining opportunities, so Glasgow truly is a city of contrasts. It also has a great number of over 200 community food projects that encourage communities around the city to take part in community food growing and food education activities. Glasgow has around 90 community gardens growing spaces, 32 allotments where people can grow their own, and we're up to 4 market gardens now that sell local food directly to business and or customers. Go to the next slide, please. Because of the challenges facing our city, our partners wanted to work towards a better food system with our common goals. Everyone has access to fair, healthy, fresh, affordable food, regardless of their income, background or area where they live in. Growing and cooking food brings communities together. The local food economy is thriving. We can all enjoy and celebrate diverse, tasty and healthy food, and our food is produced and disposed of in a way that's good for the environment as well as for us. Next slide, please. There's been several kind of key milestones in relation to food and environment in Glasgow, and there's a list of them there. I'll cover a few of them. First one was a commitment for the Sustainable Food Cities in 2017. It was followed in 2018 by a food inequality inquiry, which marked food insecurity in the city, which led to the inquiry itself. In 2019, Glasgow hosted the Food Summit, where the Glasgow Food Policy Partnership organised a food summit together with Glasgow City Council to a full audience at Glasgow City Chambers. At the event, participants heard from several local food projects and businesses, as well as policy experts from London and Milan. During the event, we gained a lot of support for developing a food plan for Glasgow, and a GFPP was tasked with overseeing that development. In 2019, there was the declaration of the climate emergency. Glasgow was the first Scottish city to declare the climate emergency, and the City Council is committed to working with its partners to achieve carbon neutrality by 2030. This work includes making the food system in Glasgow more sustainable. We also became a member of the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact in 2019 as well, and we also revived the Sustainable Glasgow Partnership in 2020. Further to that, in 2020, we launched the Food Growing Strategy, whose vision is to ensure that any Glaswegian interested in growing their own food has space to do so. That was done after an extensive public consultation and engagement exercise, and as I say, it outlines the plans for communities to access land for food growing. We have also launched the Circular Economy Route Map for Glasgow in 2020, and it includes actions relating to the local food system, such as carrying out an audit of derelict urban land suitable for low carbon farming, and also supporting the production of more suitable, sustainable, accessible and affordable food. 2021 saw the implementation of the Climate Emergency Plan, and that was under consultation from November 2020 till January 21. Its actions are closely linked with the actions of the Glasgow Community Food Policy Partnership. In 2021, there was also the launch of the Glasgow City Food Plan, and we also signed the Glasgow Declaration. In preparation for COP26 and the Glasgow City Food Plan is already underway to convert that declaration into action. And as you may well be aware, Glasgow's hosting COP26 later on in the year. It will contain will host a number of food-related programmes and activities as part of the fringe programmes, in addition to the official conference. Many organisations want to make sure that food is on the agenda and well represented during this important event. So the City Food Plan is a 10-year plan, including all parts of the food system that was launched 2 weeks ago. City Food Plan maps the city's whole systems approach, where all different sectors are interconnected. The holistic plan is owned by everyone in the city, and we hope that we can start to see positive change soon. Move on to the next slide, please. Our work over the last year on about the food plan, as you can see above, It's been taken to a citywide partnership committed to the Glasgow City Food Plan. Our core project team set up to coordinate the process. 70 organisations were invited to the planning day. 16 workshop groups were set up. The draft plan was produced. Learnings from COVID-19 were also incorporated into that before we went to consultation in October to December 2020. And as I say, the plan was launched on the 15th of June 2021. Okay, we'll move on to the next theme, if that's okay. Sorry, the next slide, if that's okay. All in all, the plan is 76 actions divided between the different themes. As you'll see at the top there, we're increasing land available for food growing, better availability of food growing in the city, region, etc. We're increasing the availability of and demand for food grown using ecological methods and securing support and funding for increasing local, seasonal, sustainably produced food and explore the potential for urban and peri-urban agriculture. We're hoping to increase the proportion of all locally sourced and low carbon produced food used in the public sector catering. Changes are already being made to school meals. We're also hoping to develop an integrated food charter with a guide to purchasing decisions. We're engaging with food businesses and restaurants to encourage reductions in food-related waste, the use of sustainable food and adoption of circular economic principles. We're also looking to improve learning about the food system within the education curriculum in schools and colleges. We want to develop training opportunities and pathways, including apprenticeships in schools and colleges for routes into food growing and urban farming, which include sustainability principles. We also want to work with Glasgow's colleges and universities to develop research related to sustainable food production. And we're ensuring that the plan aligns with other city strategies. There's no point in having this plan if it doesn't interconnect with other strategies of the city. These include the Glasgow's Climate Emergency Implementation Plan, the Ecological Emergency Implementation Plan, Glasgow's Biodiversity Action Plan, and the city's food growing strategy. We're also looking to improve training in food waste, including communication, increase public understanding and importance. We move on to the next slide, please. Food and Climate Action Project includes partners from various sectors have already started delivering some of the actions of the plan. Earlier this year, our partner Glasgow Community Food Network started a new national lottery-funded project titled Food and Climate Action. Building on the aims of the Glasgow Community Food Plan, the project will engage with and empower people of all ages through food, establish community-led green assemblies, increase urban agriculture within the city, collate all learning in an online food hub, and support action around COP26, including food-related events during the conference. Hopefully some of you will be able to come to Glasgow for this important event. If not, we'd urge you to sign the City Declaration, and there is a link to that in the chat. One of the things I've not really touched on in the PowerPoint is where the economic development comes into this side of it within the City Food Plan. And I'm delighted to say that we have repurposed one of our production nurseries that Glasgow City Council utilised, and that is going out onto a 25-year lease to a community interest company called Locavore. And I don't know if you're aware of Locavore or not. They're an organic vegetable supplier, and they supply restaurants, vegetable boxes all across the city, and they've recently just opened their second store in Glasgow as well. So they've got 2 high street stores with supermarkets on them, providing locally grown, locally sourced produce. The nursery that they've taken on is becoming an education hub as well as a growing hub. It's a collaborative approach, so growers from all across the city can tap into this community interest company and join up with them to provide additional produce into their supply chains. We're also very conscious of our position within food growing, and if it's done badly, it can actually impact on the ecology surrounding the city and within the city. So we've also developed a Growing with Biodiversity handbook as well, and that was done in conjunction with Glasgow Allotment Forum here in Glasgow. It's an interesting time for Glasgow, and we've never seen such demand, particularly arising out of COVID-19. And we're keen to ensure that everyone in Glasgow does have access to opportunities for growing. Now, whether that means growing for themselves, growing to develop an economic opportunity to tie into the supply chains in Glasgow, or otherwise, we'll be here to support them. As long as we can understand that there is a nature-based solution arising from this, whether it be economic, social and environmental, we're happy to support groups in developing further so we have a more just, accessible and transparent food supply system within the city. So that's as much as I want to say. Thank you for your time, and if anyone's got any questions, I'm more than happy to field them.
Thank you very much, Sandy. I could share the impression also from the chat that Glasgow is carrying on a very impressive work on food, and I think that everyone experienced with the pandemic the need to come back to the nature and have also a different relationship with the food. Unfortunately, we are a little behind the schedule. I just would like to thank everybody, speaker, the participants that had so many patients with our technical issue. And finally, I would like you to remind that could be a great opportunity to meet again within the Connecting Network Enterprise Platform food community. Unfortunately, today we had just some testing, let me say, about your work, and for me it will be a pleasure to ask you to join maybe again in the autumn for new webinars on the topic. Right now there are networking and Expo Live in the platform, so you will have the chance to join this opportunity. And also, please do not forget to fill in the polls in the main area. Thank you again. See you soon in the networking area. Thank you. Bye-bye.